All right, guys, this morning what we're going to do, we're going to work on a field hasty zero. All right, a lot of times you don't have the opportunity to always have a nice 100-meter or 100-yard berm that you can actually slow down and shoot at. You know, up here on this cliff side, we don't have anything 100 meters out. So what we're going to actually do is go ahead and zero our weapon system at a distance range. All right, and then we're going to manipulate the PDA, change the zero under the gun for that range, and we're going to do pure holes all the way out. So if you're running a mil dot, we're going to go ahead and just run it that way. You're going to dial until you're hitting, and then from there you're going to tell your gun under your PDA exactly where you're at. Same thing with the horse. You're going to actually dial until you're hitting with your crosshair. You may be 330 meters out, you may be 262, doesn't matter. You want to find something somewhere close, all right, because the algorithm doesn't separate at the closer ranges. You already know your muzzle velocity, all right, so none of that's going to be a problem. We will get barometric pressure, get temperature, plug all that information in. All right, we have a little bit of wind, so that's not going to be a problem. Y'all are doing real good calling your winds. So really what we're focusing on today is you're going to dial your scope to hit with your crosshair, and then you're going to change your zero under your gun information in your PDA, and at that point then you'll roll forward from there and just do pure holes from that point forward. All right?
All right.
All right.
This will work out a little bit good for me because I don't know if I didn't torque them down all the way, but mine is a little bit loose right now. So this will pay off for me.
Interesting. I tell you what, let's do something different then. Everybody take your scopes off, pass them to the right. This is something that most people really kind of freak out about.
It's just like sacrilegious or for you.
Yeah, it's kind of sacrilegious for a lot of people. It's kind of like getting a good zero and a good dope card is some kind of voodoo. People do not want to touch their equipment. It's like, hey man, my gun's been zeroed for 17 years, I really don't want to touch it. All right, we got to get past that. Getting a good zero and getting a good dope card takes all of 5-10 shots and you're done.
That's true.
Right, this is very easy. So everybody, jerk your stuff off, pass it to the right. All right, so while y'all are doing this, I want to explain something. Now we've more simulated a broke scope drill, all right, than what we were going to do initially. All right, but this is to get us out of our comfort zones. This is kind of goes back to the basics, understanding the fundamentals and making better use of them. So what we've done now is we have different bias on the rails. All right, we may have to slip turrets, we may have to do different things now. All right, so you're going to do the same thing, but initially what I want you to do is you have to find where your gun is actually hitting now. We'll make the correction for wind. We'll make a good wind call, make the correction for wind on your scope windage turret. And then from that point, I want you to find out where you're hitting. If you're hitting a mil high at 300 meters, which should be, you know, closer to at 300, what's your hold, 1.5?
1.5.
All right, so if you're hitting a mil high at 1.5, you basically have 2.5 on your gun, which is really close to like a 410 meter zero. All right, so at that point, you'll plug in 410 meters and we'll run the course of fire. A lot of times you'll find guys slipping their turret or dialing turrets, all right? As they dial the turret actually slips. And so they're feeling the click, 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 and then it just runs and they get no clicks and they think, oh my gosh. And they try to turn it back, it may click 1 or 2 and then it turns again. And by this time they're doing back and forth and trying to find out where it's at and they don't know where they're at. All right, they don't know how much they've dialed on, they don't know where their scope's at. And this basically kind of simulates that a little bit. So it's real easy to go through the process. There's several different ways to do it. If I was actually dialing all the time and wanted a 100 meter zero, I would actually dial till I was hitting with maybe a 1 mil hold or even my crosshair. You can do it either way. If I had a 1.5 for a 300 meter zero, I'd dial until I was hitting with 1.5 mils. All right, then I was good with my turrets at that point. If you wanted your turrets to be correct, you could actually slip them at that point to 1.5, all right? Or back to 0 if you're holding. If you're dialing it to where you're hitting with your crosshairs, you'd actually slip your turrets to 1.5 mils, all right? So either way that you want to run it, we'll just do it a little different with everybody so we can get, as far as the classroom, y'all can see how we can actually do it several different ways, all right?
Ty, can I ask you a question about scope leveling? Because I noticed like when Mike's scope here on my gun, for some reason the reticle looks crooked as hell.
Yeah, probably because everybody cuts their rails a little bit different. It may not be as mil spec, I would imagine. I've seen that before on mine. So is that going to affect Travis?
Standard Picatinny is not necessarily standard.
Standard, yeah.
So,
well, I know there's different controversies there as well. I mean, what should be level?
You know, really, you want your level or your reticle level with the world every shot. That's the most important thing. It can be slightly canted. You know, usually if you're a right-hand shooter, it's more acceptable if your cant is top right, all right? And a lot of, you know, big-time shooters in competition actually cant their weapon system.
Really?
If you think about it, the ergonomics of your pocket is more in a cant position anyway. All right, so a lot of the guys actually cant their guns that way, and then they put levels on their scopes or on their barrels, something like that. So it's very acceptable. The main deal is you have to make your reticle level with the world for every shot. So for this first run, all right, what I want you to do is, no matter what your level, because we're not gonna actually slip that right now, it's just like, hey, you had a scope on a different gun, you was out hunting, your primary gun went down, you want to use that weapon system, you've got another scope, you slapped it on it, and we're fixing to get a good quick field hasty zero. Shoot out to distance, and you're going to see that you're hitting all the targets. But it's a good question because a lot of people buy a lot of expensive equipment to make sure their gun is level with their reticle.
So then the most important thing to remember with that, since people are really religious about leveling their scopes to their gun, doesn't matter because it's actually leveling the scope to the world. That's what really matters. So there's really no point in being anal retentive with being really level, right?
Absolutely, not if it's just slightly off. You know, I wouldn't want it to be extremely canted, you know, obviously.
But you could, I mean, I can get on here and eyeball it pretty good. It's gonna be fun.
You can get on there and eyeball it. Usually what I do for field quick, hasty level, I'll actually push the weapon system away from me until I see the reticle lining up with the Picatinny. And I just want to make it offset 90 degrees to where it kind of creates a little T at the bottom. There isn't any angle in that. So you can take it and just loosen it, adjust it to where your steady line runs right down in the middle of your Picatinny rail. At that point, tighten everything up, get down behind the gun, make sure you check it to see if it's good and close, and then from that point, rock and roll with it. The main deal is make sure your reticle is level with the world. There isn't anything that you have to have it exact. You know, there's nothing wrong with it being exact. You know, if you want to take the time and make sure it's all perfect, that's fine. But it's not going to affect your accuracy.
But people don't need to go, oh my God, something's going to be wrong. I mean, because it goes against every book and everything that I've ever read or been taught was, hey, you got to make sure your scope's level with the gun. Which what we're saying here goes against everything out there, every manual, military manual, it says level your scope to the gun. But you don't need to if you can eyeball it on there and it's good to go.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the way the guys actually lay down behind the gun. They're going to make sure that gun's in the same position, and it's going to start canting their reticle against the world. You know, our deal is we focus on the reticle. We don't focus on if the gun's here or slightly here. All right, if you think about it, this is even more ergonomic than this. All right, so having my hand slightly kicked out, you know, a lot of the big time competition shooters in palma shooting and that kind of stuff shoot with it that way. So I think we're getting out of some of the myths, you know, about what's important and what's not important. And, you know, and that's what we try to work around and really just use a common sense approach to everything that we do. All right, everybody, go ahead and grab your PDA. Let's plug in the atmospherics. Barometric pressure 27.14, temperature 71. We're keeping our humidity at 50%. All right, your first target's the far left one on the range here. All right, Mike, go ahead and take your 05 and lays that target for me and confirm, please.
238.
All right, everybody plug in 238. What you're gonna do, guys, you're gonna put whatever hold it is, you'll be somewhere around 0.6 mils, give or take a tenth, whether you're shooting a 300 or a 308. All right, you're gonna use holes right now. We gotta figure out where you're at. And you're actually gonna dial until you hit the target with that hold. That means your crosshair will be zeroed at 100 meters. Make sense? All right, if you run out of elevation adjustment, you're gonna have to figure out where you're at. And you may actually have to zero your gun possibly 2 or 3 mils high. All right, then I'll show you, we'll talk that through and we'll plug it in the PDA. So Mike, you're gonna be my first shooter, you ready? Okay, wind's not blowing that much this morning. We're probably only looking at about 6 miles an hour. All right, about 4 miles an hour is the first time you really start feeling wind on your face. So it's relatively easy to notice 4 mile an hour winds. All right, right now, obviously you can feel it coming in on the right side a little bit more than that. So it's probably between 6 and 8 miles an hour. The country down there where we're shooting to is exposed to the right wind, so it's actually gonna be increasing a little bit. But even at 4 miles an hour, we're 236 meters. That's only 0.2 right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start out with a 0.4 hold right. All right, go ahead and get center body shot. Actually, I think you actually hit low.
Thought it was low and left.
All right, I want you to hold. I tell you what, sometimes it's really kind of hard to hold 0.6 on the right side and make sure you're still level when you don't have any good reference points. So go ahead and put your crosshair right across the top of his head. His head actually mills right at 1.3 right now. So we'll be able to mill down from where you hit and tell you how much you need to adjust up. Right side of his head. All right, go ahead and give me a shot. All right, your elevation wasn't that far off. It looks like you're only 0.2 low on that one, but you're way left, all right? You impacted about 1.3 left, so we know that bullet should not be more than 0.4. So give me 9 clicks right on your scope. Now you should be hitting with a 0.6 for your gun, correct, or a 0.7?
0.9.
0.9. All right, now you only hit 0.2 low that time, all right, from your crosshair. So I want you to go ahead and come down 0.7 mils. All right, same hold, top right edge, top of the target with your crosshair, right edge of the target with your vertical stadia. All right, go ahead, give me a shot. All right, windage is now correct, but you impacted at 1.4 down. All right, so I want you to come up 0.5 mils. All right, you're perfect at 0.9 now. All right, you need to add about 2 clicks left for wind, and your gun should be zeroed. All right, so as soon as we run through everybody, now you're gonna move out and shoot targets further out. You should be good to go. All right, Travis? All right, give me a 1/2 mil hold on the head. Hold center.
And that'll be kind of interesting, Todd, because that was sighted in for Steve's Win Mag, which is an entirely different platform.
And you're correct. He did hit high too, so from his 1/2 mil hold, he's actually needs to come down probably 7 clicks and come right 3. And now we're gonna get a little bit more refined hold because we know we have him on target for this next shot. So he's gonna do the same thing. He's gonna put his crosshair right on top of the target's head. His vertical stadia line is gonna be on the 3 o'clock side. And all this does is gives us something to refine and measure off his impact. All right, fire when ready. All right, that was just off the right side. So with that weapon system, with a 6 mile an hour wind, I really want you impacting around 0.3 left. All right, so I need you to dial 2 clicks left right now. Give me 3. All right, go ahead.
Same hold.
Yeah, same hold, fire when ready. All right, excellent. What's your hold need to be? What does your PDA say?
It was 0.85.
0.85, all right. Your bullet actually impacted at 0.7. So come down 1 click. Confirm, same shot. All right, you're just off the right side. Make sure your scope's level. Give me 1 more shot. There you go. All right, all I do now, I need you to come 2 clicks left, and we're gonna call it good. All right, Chris, you're up.
Now this is got a little bit different crosshair than the 58, so do I hold center crosshair?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have you hold center in probably right at the bottom of his neck to get you somewhere in an area where we can see. Guys, you can actually do this on a rock on the side of a hill. You don't have to have targets. All right, just find something where you can see impacts, and then you can make your adjustment. All right, crosshair, bottom of the head. All right.
I don't know where that is. Is that in the head slightly?
Yeah, you actually hit nearly center head. Now you need to actually, what's your hold?
My hold is 0.58.
0.58. So you actually impacted nearly, you're 0.7 high above your crosshair, and you need to be at 0.6. So I need you to come down 1.3 mils. And I need you to come left.
Shoot, I bottomed out.
Where'd you bottom out at?
I only
How
had
many
3
clicks?
clicks.
You only got 3?
Yeah, 3 down.
All right, no problem. So you're gonna be a meal high.
All right. And what do I need to come left?
All right, you're gonna come left. Give me 4 clicks left. All right.
Same hold?
Same thing, same hold on his chin, crosshair. All right, you're only 0.2 high, and you needed to be at 0.6, so you're 0.8, all right? So I'm gonna show you something that's a little different with this gun, all right? What I want you to do is go ahead and grab your PDA now and go to range card. And there's several different ways that we can do this, guys. We could actually scroll down under range card until we find a 0.8 mil hold. That's what he's hitting with, all right? But the problem is he's at 236 meters out, all right? So, or 238. So what would be your hold? So y'all think about this. What would be your hold if he needed to hold 0.6, but he's hitting basically 0.8 above that right now?
0.4?
Now he would have 1.4 on his gun. So what I want you to do is scroll down right now until you see 1.4 mils.
All right, I've got 1.41.
What range is that?
345 meters.
345 meters. All right, so what I want you to do is go under gun information and change your 0 to 345. Now once you do that, I want you to look at your main screen now and tell me what it tells you for a firing solution for 236.
Hold negative 0.82.
0.82. How many tenths of a mil did you hit high?
Then that would be, I would have held, you just said 0.8.
Yeah.
So
So you was 0.8 high from your other hold.
So we were able to correct it in the computer.
Yeah, you can actually correct it in the computer.
That's awesome.
All right, Steve. All right, right 2 clicks and you're done. All right, now we're gonna do you different, Steve. We're actually gonna change your 0 right now to 236 in your PDA. And you're gonna do modified holds after that. So we have different people. We have some people actually zeroed, all right, with their actual hold for 100 meters. You're gonna go ahead and zero your gun for 236. All right, under gun, down where it says 0, change it to 236. And it's gonna give you an adjusted hold as you go out. Instead of being, 500 meters holding 2.8 mils, now you already have 0.6 on your gun. All right, so it'll be 1.9 mils, and that's it. All right, we already know what the gun's muzzle velocity is. All right, so now we go back through the process quickly, to confirm. If you want to, you go out and you true, and then you go out and shoot a course of fire. We should be trued, so we're gonna go ahead and go out and shoot a course of fire. All right, guys, to confirm our alternative field 0, look down the road at the far left side of the road, just past the curve. There's a target at 610 meters. All right, go ahead and plug in your dope for 610 and go ahead and give me a shot. All right, Chris, we'll start with you. Just off the left side, add 0.4 right. Don't dial, just hold it. Holding wins is much faster. You do a second shot correction much quicker. There, nice hit. All right, Travis, you up?
And I'm gonna put 1.2 on it.
Probably a little bit more, come to 1.5 now.
1.5.
Nice, good shot.
That's awesome.
Wow, that works.
That's hard to believe.
I mean, you just can't.
Took the scope off, redoped it at 235, and then entered in a variety of different information between you and me, and then just get that one at 610.
All right, Mike, you up?
I am.
No pressure, Mike.
All right, so you doing headshot?
That was almost a mil high.
You held 5, right?
I held 5.5, or 5.4.
All right, then give me 5 mils. Hold 5 mils and give me 1.3 right.
Center body.
Send it. Nice. All right, guys. So you see, it really doesn't matter. You can change scopes. You don't have to be scared about touching your scope. Once you get a 0, it's not some kind of voodoo thing that may only happen once in your life. You know, you can do field zeros really fast. They're accurate, they work. You just have to be real refined with what you're doing. You don't want to step out too far on your actual field zero though, to where the algorithm may separate, like at 400 or 500. If you know your velocity, you could actually do that.
To be able to change it in a computer with what happened to me where, you know, we're going, I know I could have slipped the turrets on this particular scope, but to choose not to, and like you say, enter in that data and then put one out at 600, you know, that's really kind of a cool thing to see what the electronics and how it can all come together. So that was pretty awesome.
To reiterate, we're at a range where we don't have 100 yards of paper. We've got to do it with what we got.
Exactly.
And we zeroed at 236 yards and then confirmed at 6, so we now have our 100-yard zero again.
Well, and a lot of this is problem solving. You know, you got to think out of the box a little bit. You can't be afraid to, you know, jump out and shoot with a 300-meter zero or a, you know, 236-meter zero. Or you may have, like Chris, a 317-meter zero right now. So once you understand it, it all goes back to the basics. Once you have the basics, the fundamentals, everything else is pretty easy.